Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Vita View. I am Vita, your host for today, and I am so excited to be here because, hold on, I have to change my name on my screen. There's a reason for that. All right, I am Vita, is my screen name, and there's a reason for that, but I'll do another video on that at another time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is view number 4. Nope, view number 5. This is view number 5, and I got a little something I want to share. So this morning I was doing my morning chores. So each week I have like a zone that I work in, and I kind of declutter in that zone and clean up, throw things away, organize. So every week I have a zone that I work in, and this week my zone is the kitchen. So I have been going through and looking at things that don't have lids and tossing out those what we call the ghetto Tupperware, the country crock lids, the bowls and stuff like that. So just kind of organizing my kitchen a little bit and throwing out some of the things that may have, you know, gone bad or, gotten stale, cereal and things like that. But anyway, as I was cleaning, I was listening to some music and a song came on, um, Killing Me Softly. The original Killing Me Softly was Roberta Flack, and then Lauryn Hill remade it with the Fugees. And as I'm listening to the song, I'm getting my jam on, I'm, everything, and cleaning up and singing and dancing through the kitchen and all the things. And I very distinctly heard what happened to Lauryn Hill. And I paused my music and I have a little note on my phone when I get like a download of sorts. I opened my phone up and I typed in the title, What Happened to Lauryn Hill? And I jotted down a couple of notes about it. And, so I was like, am I talking about that on the next view? View number 5. So I listen to music, but I kind of grew up. If you know me personally, you know that I grew up in a denomination that was pretty strict, and we didn't listen to a lot of secular music. And so as I grew up, I have a window of music that I consider my time of music. And that's between like 1984, 85 till about 1993. That's my secular music window. So, you give me some Thriller, you give me some Whitney Houston, How Will I Know If He Really Loves Me? Give me a little bit of now Shaka Khan. I know was before that, but I used to live with my sister and they had the album, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan, let me rock you, that's all I want to do. So that's a part of my era too, although the music probably came out a little bit before that, whatever. Um, so I have this window of time where I listen to secular music. And that's, that I can say, oh, that's my song, some New Edition, some Bobby Brown, that window. The Fugees came out a little bit after that, and Lauryn Hill a little bit after that. But I'd gotten married, had kids, and we watched Sister Act 2. So Sister Act 2, Lauryn Hill starred in that movie with Whoopi Goldberg, and the why should I feel discouraged, all of that, his eyes on the sparrow, on the duet, and all that. So that was my association with Lauryn Hill, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I listened to a few songs and things like that, a few songs from the Fugees, but I wasn't really on board like this whole era after the 90s into the 2000s with a lot of R&B and hip hop. I just wasn't there. But there are some songs that, I kick it with. So that song came on, Killing Me Softly, but of course, the original was made by Roberta Flack, and then it was remade. And and Lauryn Hill, the Fugees made that song, brought that song back into the the 90s and the 2000s. But anyway, as I'm listening, I hear, do a podcast on Lauryn Hill. What happened to Lauryn Hill? And I'm like, I don't know what happened to Lauryn Hill. I didn't follow her, but I do know what I heard about her in the media, that she was difficult to work with after she left the scene, tried to come back and revive the Fugees and do a tour, and she wasn't showing up on time. And then she had like this diva-like attitude. I heard these things about Lauryn Hill, and everybody talking about, wanting their money back, getting their money back, how she was showing up, an hour and a half, 2 hours late, not showing up. And, I was like, at the time, I was like, well, dang, that's unprofessional. That's unprofessional. And then, everybody came behind with, the mental illness and something was wrong with her. And she, all the things that she went through. And again, I didn't follow her life or her music. I remember her being in Sister Act 2, blowing all the songs up, her voice beautiful, that raspy kind of voice, just a beautiful singer, soulful singer. And like I said, I don't have a history of, following what happened. So when I heard, what happened to Lauryn Hill and do a podcast view on it, I'm like, okay, well, what is this about? So I went and I looked up her music and I started to listen to, some of her popular songs, and then I was doing some research and some reading, and I came across the album that she released, MTV Unplugged 2.0, where she did like the acoustic guitar and it was a live recording, a live concert. And I said, oh, let me listen to that. So I listened. It wasn't the music that pulled me as much as it was the conversation she had with the audience in between. One of the things that stood out to me most was, now I understand why I was inspired to do this view. She said in between one of the songs, in between two of the songs, the interlude, that we all have gifts. And look, I'm going to actually go to the page. So hold on one moment. I am going to see if I can find the lyrics to it, the interlude. Let's see. She says, we all have gifts. Here it is. And this is the transcript. I'll tell you every single, da 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 da, blah blah. We all have gifts, she said, like special gifts. And there's this voice inside of us that says, don't do that. Why are you gonna get up there with that guitar? You're gonna look like a hip hop folk singer. What are you? Like, who are you? And then there's laughter in the audience. She says, I really went through, I mean, seriously, I can kind of laugh about it now, but it took a long time for me to understand, what I am is what I am. I can't be afraid to expose that to the public. Always get in trouble, trying to make it, trying to dress it up. What am I saying? I got tired of that, just tired of that, tired of fronting, tired of that. And until I find a group of people that are as passionate about it as I am, I'll just roll along alone until such time, it's all good. God is faithful. And y'all still get to hear this too, because you see, that enemy, he will tell you, you don't have a 20-piece band. You can't do nothing. Yeah, sure, keep talking. Because somebody's going to see me and they're going to know, oh, there's something that God's been telling me to do. I can do it too. I can do what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't need an entourage. What do I need a crew for? That doesn't validate you. Okay. And then she goes into the next song. Now, when I read that, I was like, oh, she says we all have a gift, a special gift. And there's a voice inside of us that tells us, don't do that. That's what happened to Lauryn Hill. It wasn't really the voice inside of her that told her, don't do that. It was the voice outside. It was the voices outside of her that convinced her that it was inside so that she wouldn't do what she was created to do. You see, the public had this public persona of Lauryn Hill, the superstar, the actress, the singer, songwriter, all of these things. And they were feeding, the public was feeding off of this persona, feeding off this energy called Lauryn Hill. And see, what happened was Lauryn Hill was presenting herself to the public, presenting herself to the world in one way, but there was something inside of her that was calling her to do something different, to do something more. And when she presented it to the world as is in the raw, the world didn't want it raw. They wanted it cooked. And there became this conflict, I believe, within her of this is what I was created to do, but this is what the world wants me to do. And when Lauryn decided to step into her power of who she is, the world wasn't ready for that. The world didn't want that. The world said she was difficult to work with. The world said that she didn't have anything to offer. The industry said, we want you to look, act, sound, walk, talk like this. And Lauryn knew inside of herself that that's not what she was created to do. But the world wanted this, but she could only offer this. And because it was not accepted, she retreated. See, I listened to that album. I just aged myself by saying album, but that's all right. I listened to MTV Unplugged 2.0, and the music was raw. The music came from her soul, and it was a message for someone for some time, even a little bit before her time, actually. But there were people and are people that still want Lauryn Hill's gift. But because it wasn't delivered in the way that they said it should be delivered, she believed that it wasn't necessary or needed. And this is all my opinion. This is a download that I received, not just about Lauryn Hill, but about myself and about our kids too. And I'll get to that momentarily. You see, I believe that there's a conversation that goes on in heaven before we take on this physical form. I believe that every single one of us is given an IEP, which I call it, an individualized earth plan that we receive from our creator, and we're sent to the earth to carry out this mission, to carry out this plan, this assignment. And when we're born into this world, we enter it through we enter into the human experience through a human, father and mother, and we take on humanity. So we go from divinity in heaven into humanity. And when we enter into humanity, sometimes that gift that we're given gets lost or buried or distorted in some way. And I believe that's what happened with Lauryn. You see, the words to some of the songs that I was listening to on this live recording talked about fighting against a system, about loving yourself and loving your God, loving each other, growing together, um, allowing your gifts to make room for you. But that's not what they wanted. It's not what they wanted Lauryn to serve them or to deliver. But that wasn't the group. That wasn't the people that Lauryn was designed and assigned to. You see, the industry gave her an opportunity to show up in her gift, but it didn't allow her gift to expand in the way that it should have. Because in the industry, they had to control how it's presented so that money can be made, so that somebody could get paid. And they knew that with that gift, with that voice, they were able to make, to generate wealth. But the message that she had, the message that she came here to deliver, wasn't necessary in alignment with what the industry wanted. And I believe that caused her to question her I amness. It caused her to question the gift that she came here with, the message that she came here to deliver. And I honestly believe that I amness is what makes us who we are in humanity. It's that divinity that's brought into humanity. And when we're unable to express it, it causes depression and anxiety. It causes a cognitive dissonance between what we're presenting and what we know to be true. And it is my opinion, I am no medical doctor, I have no background and no history, no degree in psychology or psychiatry or anything like that. But it is my opinion that mental illness, the root of mental illness, is separation from your I amness, separation from your true identity. And then you're seeking to fill that gap. And that leads to an introduction or an opening to depression or anxiety or personality disorders, things of that nature. So as I'm reading some articles about what happened to Lauryn Hill, there was one article that said that she became difficult to work with when she started having everyone call her Miss Hill as opposed to Lauryn. That wasn't that she was difficult to work with. It was that she understood who she was. And she was presenting herself in such a way to let people know, you're not going to take advantage of me anymore like you did before. I'm Miss Hill. Now, showing up late and things like that to her concerts, I'm not saying that was the right thing to do. But I believe that there was an internal battle between the Lauryns, the public persona, Lauryn Hill, and the divine Lauryn Hill that came here into humanity to deliver a particular message with her voice. All of us have some type of gift, some type of message, something that we are to co-create with the divine creator in this earth. And when we are not able to express that or able to do that, it in some way causes us to feel a sense of loss, a sense of separation from our I amness. And I honestly believe that the world should be filled with the message of the music of Miss Lauryn Hill. And you know that, and I know that, we know that just based on the one album that was released in 1998, I think, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That music is still being sampled almost 30 years later. That music is still relevant today. So just imagine if she would have been able to express the gift that she was given by her creator to bring to this earth, how many lives she would have been able to impact, how much wealth she would have accrued with her gift. And it amazes me that that one album is still, we still bop to it, as they say. It's still a bop because of the gift that she possesses. I was going to say possess, but I'm going to say possesses because she's still here. That gifting is supposed to be what's supposed to be released into the earth. And it was with her movie singing, in Sister Act 2 and with the Fugees and Miseducation Lauryn Hill and MTV Unplugged 2.0. But I believe that if you were to walk into her home or her studio, I believe that there are shelves, notebooks, demos that she has created that we may never hear because she believed, in my opinion, she believed that she couldn't be who she was created to be without judgment, without expectation of others. So instead, she retreated, she recoiled. And that's heartbreaking to the world, her fans. But I also believe that it's heartbreaking to the creator. We are all impacted in that way with our gifts. For me, it's speaking. I am a speaker. Yes, I'm an educator, teacher, math, confident calculators, building brighter kids. All of those things are also a part of me. But my I amness, I am the voice. I am the voice of many. I am the disruptor of systems with my voice. I am a speaker. And there are times when I become fearful that the things that have been put in my mouth to say will offend, will cut, will cause people not to like me or my message or the message that was given to me. It's easy for me to stay in my education lane as it pertains to educating our children and helping families build children who are unapologetic in their image and their intellect and their identity and their inherent gifts. That's me. That's a part of my message. But I'm also called to speak to and to disrupt the mindset of the oppressive systems that have been pushed upon us. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's scary. But just like Lauryn, I have a message. I have a gift given to me by my creator. And I know that whatever I do, I am always building children. This message right here. How is this Lauryn Hill, her gifting, I am Vita, my gifting. How is that connected to our children? Because, like I said before, every single one of us comes here with an assignment, an IEP, an individualized, inspired, earthly plan. Our children have them too. And if we will be willing as parents, as the village, as educators, as church leaders, as community leaders, be willing to partner with the creator, the giver of the gifts, we can help bring those gifts wholly and holistically into fruition into this earth. But there are so many of our children that are growing up under the guise of, you can't be that, don't think that, don't act that way. You want to do what? No, you need to be this. Oh, this is how you should behave. This is what you were born to do. And all along, our children are screaming at us and telling us that they have already been placed within them their IEP. But we don't want to listen to the IEP. We want to shape it and mold it and make it in a way that's acceptable to the public, just like the industry did to Lauryn. You want to take it and make it and shape it so that your child is successful in the world based on what the world's blueprint is, as opposed to aligning your discipline, aligning the vision, aligning the education, aligning the action with the blueprint that they came here with. Because our children show us who they are all the time. So I just want us to take a moment for ourselves and for our children to reconnect and realign with the divinity and the divine IEP that has been given to us, because we all have one, and that's been given to our children. Pay attention to what they're saying to you. Pay attention to what they love and what they like and how they respond and what their strengths are. Pay attention, because they are revealing and showing you, us, who they are. And at some point, I believe with Lauryn, she was showing us in her MTV Unplugged, the acoustic guitar, the live recording, the raspiness of her voice, the imperfection of her notes, or the perfect imperfection of her notes, that this is who she is. This is who I am. But because she wasn't readily embraced and accepted, she recoiled because she wasn't sure. We have to build our children in a way that reminds them of their divine blueprint. Because the industry, the world, the educational system, the religious system, the judicial system, all of these systems are going to try to tell them who they are. So we have to equip them with the skill set, with the knowing that I am created this way. And this is what I came into the world to do and to be. So that when they are faced with the industry, when they're faced with the systems, when they are faced with oppression, depression, suppression, they're able to stand in their I amness and say, I am Vita. I am fill in the blank. So as we're raising them and growing them and building them, fortify them. Fortify them with their I amness so that they're able to stand against the industry, stand against the enemy, stand against oppression, depression, suppression, so that they can birth their individualized, inspired, earthly plan. I think that's it. We are complete. Thank you so much, you all, for tuning into the Vita View. I am Vita, and share this podcast. I guess you can call it a podcast. So, this YouTube channel with your friends, your family on your social media page. And if you have a podcast or if you have a stage that you'd like for me to be a part of or um, to share my views or my downloads, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. God bless you and have a super fantastic rest of your day, night, or whenever you watch this. Take care.